Okay, I had a look at Newsy's little book of no, who claimed that free of Tony Abbott, a book of Tony Abbott for free, I should say, and it's full of Tony Abbott's all-time best no's, like no to spreading the benefits of mining boom, no to more separations for Aussie workers, no to making polluters pay, no to health reforms, no to flood rebuilding, and no to supporting jobs during the GFC. And you'd wonder who this was from. Well, it's quite easy to find out who it's from. If you follow Newsy's link at the bottom of his video, you'll find it's Anthony Albanese. Isn't he a wonderful man? The same person who referred to as protesters of carbon taxation as nothing more than climate deniers and so forth, and disparaged them completely, even when these protesters were exercising their democratic right to protest and disagree with the government. Of course, Anthony Albanese being such a hero of democracy. Now, Newsy said it was free. The little book of no's. But if you look down further, you'll find out. So today, if you are tired as me of the no-elition, I am asking you that you sign up to make a regular monthly donation of just $20 to help us put an end to Tony Abbott's negativity. So it's not so much that it's free, because there are the ALP, the Australian Labor Party, is asking you to donate $20 to sign up and join the Labor Party, obviously. Was it free? Highly doubtful, because this would have been done up on government computers by government officials and government paid bureaucrats on the behest or the bequest of Anthony Albanese. So we're led to believe that it's supposed to be free. Well, nothing's free under a Labor Party, and we know that. So the little book of no is nothing more than Anthony Albanese, who looks very similar to not Joseph Goebbels, but the other one. What was his name? Himmler. If you have a look at a photo of Himmler, Heinrich Himmler, from the 1940s, and you look at Anthony Albanese, don't they look similar? Don't they look very much the same? I mean, goodness sake, you could swear they're twins. But both of them being socialists, I'm not surprised. But as I said, the little book of no is nothing more than the fanciful ideas from Anthony Albanese, who has no idea about democracy. It is the job of the opposition to keep the government on track and also accountable for its actions. But Anthony Albanese doesn't want you to understand that. He wants you to be sheeple. He wants you to be a follower. The little book of no. You know, I kind of remember back many years ago when I first started studying politics and geopolitical science and geopolitical history, that anyone that produces a little book of something is usually dictatorial in their attitudes. Let's see, who else had a little book? Adolf Hitler had a little book. It was called Mein Kampf. Who else had a little book? Mao Zedong. See the correlation I'm I'm making here. So the little book of no, like Mein Kampf and like Mao's book that he produced for his followers, was like a conspiracy theory that's full of a train full of fantasy and a thimble full of truth. And but the sad part about this little book of no, that Tony Abbott's book Free, as Newsy's claiming, was more than likely paid for by the Australian taxpayer. So, as such, it's not free. So, like Mein Kampf and Mao's book, which I can't remember its name at the moment, I'm sorry, is full of trash. But you paid for it. You Australian taxpayers paid for it. I could go through the video, this little book of no, right? But I'm not bothered to address every single issue, because Newsy, I've already gone through these issues with Newsy before. What's this? Your video is a joke. Why the overlaid comments? Are you afraid that people need your propaganda to make up their own minds? Anyone can overlay comments on a video. By the way, I'm left faction ALP Victorian branch. How does that go with your all conservative homophobic comment? Email me privately and I'll tell you my MP branch, etc., if you don't believe me. By Milky or whatever his name is. He's always there's a left wing of the Labor Party that even Newsy hasn't convinced. No. Newsy, you shouldn't have done the overlay, obviously. Was that gentleman's or person's found it objectionable, and even though he's a member of the Labor Party himself. Anyway, what's this? Left-wing trashers always go on about the polls so that homosexuals should get married, but these same people conveniently leave out the polls on carbon taxes. And with the idiot Mr. No Crap, I would just like to say, if you really supported Gillart's thighs, what would you say to Abbott scrapped all of them? You would say no and to you retard. Yeah. Words like that is not nice. Newsy says the public support gay marriage is around 67% of the population. For them. Me as a straight guy, I could care less and can't understand why people are against it. I have never heard a real reason against gay marriage. Second, around 70% of the people wanted something done about climate change in 2007. This is 4 years he's going on about. No matter who you voted for, both were going to bring an ETS. It's taken 3 years, but finally we got the going that we promised and what I voted for and what you voted for. Well, unfortunately, Newsy, I didn't vote for carbon taxation, and neither did you. The Labor Party didn't take a carbon taxation or an ETS, nor did the coalition take a carbon taxation leading into an ETS scheme in the 2010 election. So, unfortunately, you misrepresented yourself there. We didn't even have 70% of people agreeing to the fact of gay marriages in the last federal election. Because the last federal election, both parties, the Labor Party, the coalition, went to the last federal election with no mandate about gay marriages or any changes to the Australian Marriage Act. So this so-called public support you're talking about doesn't exist. as far as the last federal poll goes, because that was not on the table, nor was carbon taxation, was both parties repudiated it, as with the ETS. So you're wrong again. So we go by polls that are important, like the last federal election and so forth, and indications of that, not from some poll you might have got from some website or news agency or whatever. I'm sorry, but that's not how it works, Newsy. And as you, as a straight guy, so to speak, the invectives I've heard from you about homosexuality and so forth makes me tend to think, well, you know, you only support gays as far as you're not slinging off at somebody and calling them a homosexual or a pufther or whatever. You're only using the area of homosexual marriages as a type of political jockey strap, if you want to call it that. So it totally is blindsiding, the idea of carbon taxation, how the government is managing things today, blah blah blah. It's a smokescreen. But you want to make it an election issue. It's not an election issue at all, because in the last federal election it wasn't even put on the counter as being part of that federal election by any of the political parties except by the Greens. So again, you're misrepresenting yourself, just like Anthony Albanese does. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye all.